And then, of course, Ibn Miskawayh, he has a book, talks a little bit, about, purifying the self and understanding the different divisions of the self. Tahdhib al-Akhlaq, I believe it's called. And then, of course, the infamous Imam Ghazali. I don't think I need to say anything about Imam Ghazali. Everyone should know, right? Like, he's the master of all the Islamic sciences. But he was also, he indicated this, like how to deal with human beings. Just how to deal with them, okay? All right. The first hadith that I talked about was what we would call supportive intervention, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone's coming to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he has something going on with him, right? He has something going on with him. He's in love with his nafs. So much so, he goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asks permission for zina. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him. This is what we call supportive interventions, where he's giving general counsel. And that's the first thing. He's present with him. That's why he called him to him. He didn't answer his question from far away. He brought him near to him to be in his presence, right? And that was the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? That when he used to talk to someone, he didn't just turn his head, but he would turn his whole body so that he would be present with the person. And we know that this is effective in psychological counseling. You give all your undivided attention to the one that you're speaking to. All right? You watch everything. Even if they lick their lips, there might be something there. He might be thirsty, right? Go get them some water, okay? You have to have active listening, right? You're catching all the cues. You're not looking at your phone. You're not, busy with something else. You're catching all of the cues. And then you have empathy. Empathy is to be able to put yourself in their shoes. This is what Rasulullah ﷺ was telling the young man. He said, do you have a mother? Would you like that? For someone to do that with your mother? No. See, he took the young man and he put them in someone else's shoes. That's empathy. And then he corrected without condemning. Right? This is something that we should take a lesson from. You have to deal with people where they are. Wherever they are, that's where you deal with them. Okay? Now, what about these specialized interventions? Specialized interventions is like what you would do when somebody has, therapy, trauma. When somebody has trauma. Now, somebody can have physical trauma. There's all different types of trauma, right? Somebody can have physical trauma. Something happened to them, in any time that situation seems like it's going to present itself. Let me give you an example. You get robbed at gunpoint at a gas station and the guy had on a red jacket. So now you're walking in the mall, you see somebody with a red jacket, your nervous system goes off and says, run, right? So you're having a traumatic reaction, even though there's no harm present, okay? So for that, you might have to do what we call some psychoeducation. You have to explain to the person what's going on, help them to understand, and then you do some reframing. In other words, Allah does this in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're at IOK, and there's a lot of hufaz here, right? So we've got to get this right. But in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, perhaps you like something which is bad for you. And you dislike that which is good for you. Allah knows and you don't know. Right? This is reframing. This is showing you something that may not be what it appears. And many times you have to do that with people who have experienced trauma. Right? You help them to see that they could possibly benefit when they overcome the trauma. You can understand this directly from the Quran. Directly from the Quran.